Hoiberg will launch the three. Oh, he hits!
Clobber to left field. Another double for Washington. This time it's Nick Krez.
But no doubt, 2-run, go-ahead homer in the 7th. The bat flip puts the exclamation mark on a comeback.
An RBI knock from Krez, who's had an incredible night. Sam Hoiberg, the son of the coach, to steal the bucket.
Welcome back to the Sports Section, episode 10. We are in double digits. The Crimson Chin is back. Nick Kresnak. How we doing, Krezzy? What's going on, brother?
What up, what up? How's it going, Mounds? Good to see you again. It's been a little while, I feel like. Yeah, things are good. It's getting chilly back here. No complaints, though.
Dude, I was just going to say, it's starting to get cold in Austin, too, and I'm kind of pissed off about it.
What's the weather like? How chilly?
It's just like so dry and cold. It's been like in the 50s this week, and I don't think it had been really under like 70 since I moved here until the last week. And the wind and the cold, it's been brutal. I'm done with it. I want the sun back.
Well, it's just getting started. I feel like it's only going to get colder down there for the next couple months.
I know. I'm not happy about it, but you know, I'm
It is
from
what
a
it
cold
is.
weather. Yeah, I'm from a cold weather climate. I mean, I feel like I
Yeah,
have a
you
bunch
should
of
be used
winter
to it
clothes.
right now.
Yeah, I know. I have a bunch of winter clothes that I feel like I never wear.
Well, you might have to whip them out in the next couple months or so.
I know. I'm a beanie guy. I feel like most people don't really know that because I never wear them because I live in Texas, but like I've always been a beanie guy. I think I dress like a hockey player, kind of.
Thinking you're from the Midwest, huh?
I mean, when it's cold, just because it's always cold in Seattle, but just
Yeah,
haven't really.
I like a good beanie too, personally.
Indeed. I have some good Seahawks ones.
As you should. I think I got a couple Niners ones here too, so we got a little rivalry there. But we got some good sports to talk about, huh?
Well, and speaking of the Seahawks and Niners, thank you to the Carolina Panthers.
Yes,
Nice
that was
little
huge.
win. Helped
What a
both
win
of us.
for them. It really did. I mean, I thought there was no chance the Rams were going to lose that game, but hey, we'll take it.
The Seahawks do control their own destiny to the division at this point, which is pretty cool.
Do they
And-
still have to play the Rams?
We do at home, but we have the same record, and so now if we beat them, like if we win out, we will, in theory, be the 1 seed. We would be tied with the Bears if they happen to win out, but like they play the Packers and the Lions and the Niners. They're gonna drop a game at some point.
100%, maybe a couple.
I don't really know what to think about the Bears, but let's do NFL later because this weekend, Saturday night, live Dateline Las Vegas, the final ever UFC pay-per-view on ESPN. It's been a
Dude,
fun
that
era.
really has, and it's crazy to say that. I can't believe we're not going to have to pay $80 or $90 or whatever it is for every pay-per-view anymore. But yeah, last one ever, bro. It's been great, that's for sure.
I am excited for the Paramount era. They've been releasing some pretty sick promos. Have you seen those?
Yeah, they have. They are starting to look a little like the old UFC promos. Like, do you remember the one from Aldo and Connor?
Yes.
Dude, that was the best one ever, and they stopped making them like that. They're still good, but it doesn't compare to the old stuff, I think. So I'm excited to see that Paramount's doing something new.
Well, and Ron Perlman's cold opens never get old.
No, as long as that's still a thing, that's great for the UFC.
I think that's honestly one of my favorite parts about going to live events is just right in between the prelims and the main card, and they just turn all the lights out in T-Mobile Arena and put it on the big screen, and it's so sick.
It's so good. Every time, especially if it's a big fight too. They make those ones so sick, and I love it too. That's definitely a perk of going live. But you also get to see them on the TV, I think. There's just something different about being in the arena.
Yeah, so before we get to this weekend's card, we do have Merab Dvalishvili versus Peter Yan 2, and Alexandre Pantoja versus Joshua Van, 2 title fights to conclude the 2025 calendar year in the UFC. But before we talk about those fights, I want to go back to Thanksgiving because the big baldy Uncle Dana got on CBS. He got on our televisions at halftime of Chiefs Cowboys, and he made some big announcements. You have the main event for UFC 325, which will be the second, not a pay-per-view anymore, numbered event is what they're calling it now. That'll be the second numbered event of 2026, and it comes just 7 days after UFC 324, which will be Dateline Las Vegas, headlined by the interim lightweight championship of the world, Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett. Krez, how do you feel about just Dana's announcements in general?
Well, I'm a big fan of whenever Dana announces big fights like that, and I like the Paddy and Gaethje fight. I think it'll be entertaining for sure, but I know that there's a lot of people pissed off that it was Paddy and Gaethje because a lot of people feel like Arman should be getting a title shot soon. But I could also see the interim title doesn't really make sense to me here. Although I like the fight because, like I said, I feel like there's people more deserving than both Paddy and possibly Gaethje as well. Obviously, Sarukian. But like I said, I think it's just going to be really entertaining. I mean, it doesn't make much sense to me, but I love it. And then obviously the co-main too between Amanda and Kayla.
Yeah, let's get to that in a quick second. I do agree with you that the Gaethje Paddy fight is a little bit confusing on some levels, but I think that it's fucking hilarious that Dana just hates Arman Sarukian now. He is not going to give that guy a title shot until he has to.
It is pretty funny because he's clearly the best fighter in the division outside of Ilya, and they just refuse to do it. Like, they're booking Paddy and Gaethje for the winner of that fight to fight Ilya next, and like Sarukian just has to sit on the sidelines and keep beating the contenders right below him.
Well, and he just smoked Dan Hooker too.
Oh my God, he made Hooker look horrific.
I know, that was sad. I really wanted Dan to win that one.
Yeah, I was in full agreement there. I don't think I've ever rooted for Arman in a fight, honestly.
No, I don't like him. I don't like him just the same way that Dana doesn't like him. He got it. Okay, let's not forget. Sarukian got a title shot, and he pulled out of it day up.
I think that's why Dana hates him so much.
It makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair. You can't be pulling out the day before the fight. And then they had to throw Renato Moicano in there.
I enjoyed that. I like Money Moicano.
I do too, but he got smoked so fast.
Yeah, against Islam. Bad matchup.
I don't think it's a good matchup for anyone.
No, and honestly, as Islam gets better and we see him be completely dominant at multiple weight classes now, it just impresses me more what Dustin Poirier was able to do with him.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that was his closest fight to date, obviously outside of the Volk fight.
Mm-hmm.
But Poirier touched him up a little bit. He had Islam bleeding. He was able to stifle the wrestling for the most part, obviously up until he got submitted, but it was a very impressive showing by Dustin.
And just for a little background, the reason that there is an interim title fight is because Ilia Topuria, the 155 UFC champion, did announce that he will not be fighting in the first quarter of 2026 due to personal reasons. I think him and his wife are getting divorced. That's what I've seen online, at least.
Yeah, it's something along the lines of that. I know that they're separated, but I saw Holloway post something the other day, and that kind of back and forth made me think it was something to do with like possession over the child. So he's trying to figure that out, I think. I'm not 100% positive, but that's kind of where my head's at.
And I'm happy that you brought up Max, because I think I sent this post to you. The UFC Brazil official Instagram posted last week announcing Max and Charles for the BMF title on that January card, but then it got deleted, like, right away. I think that's what everyone wants for the BMF. Charles called out Max Those are two of like the coolest guys in the UFC. I love both of them, and I want to see them scrap at 155 to determine the baddest motherfucker on the planet.
I'm right there with you. I think they're two fan favorites, obviously. They're two of my favorite fighters for sure. But I think it's also a fight that both of them have shown interest in. I saw a video of Max getting asked whether he'd like that fight, and he was full steam ahead. Charles has called him out inside the octagon too. So I think it's a fight that makes a lot of sense, and it would be an awesome scrap.
Well, and as Dana says, the BMF means anyone, anytime, anywhere. You're the baddest guy on the planet, and the Blessed Expressed is currently the baddest man on earth. He doesn't care who he fights. He wants everybody.
He doesn't say no to anyone. It's actually insane, and it makes me respect him so much more too. Like, obviously, I'm a big fan already, but he truly is anytime, any place, anywhere.
Well, and speaking of our guys, I was thinking about this a couple days ago. It's really weird to me. Kevin Holland hasn't fought in like 3 months. What the fuck is going on?
I know, and I follow him on Instagram too, and he seemed kind of like non-existent on social media too. So maybe he's just taking a break from everything. He has had a few losses here, so maybe he's just resetting and getting back to the gym. But it is interesting because usually he's fighting every like 3 UFC cards. It's insane.
Yeah, that's our guy, but he does kind of like to lose fights that he should win sometimes.
He does it way too often.
He just fights so much. Let's stay on UFC 324 in January for a quick second, just to go through that. So it's Patty and Gaethje as the main event, interim title fight. Co-main, I would say, is probably the most significant women's UFC fight in history. The women's GOAT, Amanda Nunes, coming out of retirement to challenge the new champion, the 2-time Olympic gold medalist Kayla Harrison, who has been a complete savage and is undefeated in the UFC. This is an awesome fight.
It really is, and it'll be interesting to see how Amanda comes back off of the year or two long retirement. Obviously, I don't know whether she's been training. She probably has, but Kayla has been calling for this fight for a long time. She was in the PFL, I believe, before the UFC, and she was just murdering everyone over there. And then she came over to the UFC and started doing the same exact thing, worked her way to a title shot, won that, and now she's fighting the greatest women's mixed martial artist of all time in a super fight. So I think it's going to be a good one, and I really could see it going either way.
Yeah, I'm looking up the odds right now. Wow. What do you think the odds are? Take a guess.
I think Amanda's probably minus 200.
Kayla Harrison is the favorite in this fight.
Are you serious? Wow. Give me Amanda.
The champ is minus 162 at present. The former champ and the women's GOAT, Amanda Nunes, plus 176.
Dude, that is the exact opposite of what I was thinking. Jesus. Yeah, give me the underdog.
That is an interesting fight because it's hard to pick just because Amanda's been off for a little bit. I'm sure that she's still the same beast that she was a year ago when she retired, but she's definitely never seen anyone like Kayla. Kayla is she probably the biggest women's UFC fighter ever? I can't think of anyone bigger than her.
She's definitely massive for her weight class, but Amanda's pretty big too, so it'll be interesting. I genuinely have no idea who has the size advantage, but I know that they're both very strong, so.
Yeah, I don't really either. And people forget, by the way, that when Kayla was in the PFL, she fought at 155. This fight is at 135.
Yeah, so she's cutting some weight.
She said that when she won the title, she said that the only reason that she made championship weight was because of God. That's
I feel
brutal.
like that's. I know. I was just gonna say that just sounds like a spot you don't want to be in.
No, I mean she puts the weight back on, and she easily won the UFC title. So I don't think that it really affects her too much. But both these women are large and very strong.
Yeah, it'll be a tough cut for both of them.
So let's just go through the rest of that card because this is a banger. Honestly, Sean O'Malley is back. He fights Song Yadong. That is on the main card. Thank God for Derek Lewis because he hates being main events on fight nights. And now he's on a pay-per-view main card. He's fighting Waldo Cortez Acosta. That should be a good one. Jean Silva is back. He's fighting Arnold Allen. That's going to be a banger. Of course, Silva fighting Nerd. And these are just two really high-level guys that might be up next for a title shot with a win.
I think Silva's right there. He's a damn good fighter. He just lost to Diego Lopez, who's now fighting for the belt. But I don't know. I think Silva's probably going to knock him out. Arnold Allen's a tough dude, but I think Silva has too much for him.
Yeah, so let's go to that UFC 325 card really quick. So just to round out 324, the featured prelim is the former champ Alexa Grasso against the former strawweight champ Thug Rose Namajunas. That will be at 125 pounds. And then just before that will be Umar Nurmagomedov versus Davison Figueiredo, which is a really intriguing fight. So I'm excited to see how that one ends up. But I did see some people complaining about the main event for 325 just 6 days later on Australia time. It'll be January 31st here in the States, February 1st down under. Main event, Alexander Volkanovski, Diego Lopez 2, the undisputed UFC featherweight championship. Thoughts on this?
I mean, the first fight between them was great, so I'm excited to see him get after it again. But it has caused a bit of controversy because there's two guys arguably right there waiting in line for title shots, and Lerone Murphy and Movsar. So I know that those two guys were upset that they didn't get the shot because they are both, in my opinion, rightful of getting one. I thought it was going to be Murphy, but hey, it's going to be a great fight. Lopez is a tough dude, and obviously Volk's one of the GOATs, so I'm not really complaining about it.
I was just about to bring that up, too, because Lerone had that nasty spinning elbow knockout, which was one of the coolest knockouts I've ever seen in my life.
That was insane. And that was against Aaron Pico, who everyone regards as a title contender. Like, I mean, obviously he fought Lerone Murphy, who's a tough dude, his first UFC fight. And he was looking good up until that point. He just got caught, man. So he's right there, too.
Pico was the Bellator champ, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought Lerone would get the shot. Him and Volk also called each other out on Twitter. And I love Diego, don't get me wrong. But there were some people on Twitter saying that Diego was undeserving of getting a second shot prior to Lerone getting his first title shot. I kind of just think that Lerone Murphy is up next, and the UFC really wanted Volk to fight someone that they knew could give him a shot in Australia, because there are rumors that this could be Volk's retirement fight. He is getting up there. I think, he's 36, 37 now? Something like that?
Yeah, I think he's right around that age, but I know he's hinted at it before, so.
Yeah, I wonder if he does retire. What do you think? Because he's kind of ran through the division.
He has. That's tough. I mean, it's possible, but I don't think it's going to happen personally.
I feel like he's going to fight Lerone Murphy. Because that adds
fight.
It adds a lot to his resume. Like, as an all-time great. Volk is already an all-time great. He's beaten Max Holloway thrice. And has won that featherweight title, 7 times or something stupid like that?
I think he's only lost to one person in the UFC, and it was Islam.
Yeah, and he lost twice. And honestly, I think you agreed with me initially that I thought Volk beat him.
Yeah, I mean, that fight was razor thin, and there was definitely an argument for Volk. So I think Volk could have edged that one out on the scorecards, but obviously the ref saw it the other way, unfortunately, because I was pulling for Volk in that.
So we've seen that Dana is stacking these early Paramount cards, the first of the year, while the main event isn't a massive title fight, is still very stacked, top to bottom. Who would you like to see also fight in Australia on this?
That's a great question. Are you thinking like title fight or just another meaningful number one contender?
Yeah, and I think that's a good question because the smaller divisions are tied up. We have the 125, 135 championship this weekend. Of course, Islam, or I guess he's not at 155, but Ilya will not be fighting on that card. Islam will not be fighting on that card. Hamzat seems like he's hurt. He probably wouldn't go to Australia or can't go to Australia. I don't know. But Tom Aspinall's eye is all fucked up still. Heavyweight championship is gone. There could only be one other men's title fight, and that would be Alex Pereira, but I doubt that they would have him fight in Australia because I think you save Pereira for the end of February, early March for the next numbered event. So there's not really any other title fights that I see. I would think a number one contender fight would serve as the co-main. What division or who would you like to see in that?
Okay, before I lose my train of thought, I have something that's kind of crazy, but I want to say it because I think it could happen. And my reasoning, I'll just tell you what it is first off. Interim heavyweight championship with Pereira and Cyril Gane because Aspinall's going to be out for a while. It
his
seems
eye's
like
still fucked up.
Yeah, it seems like Dana is kind of pissed off with Aspinall, and Aspinall's kind of pissed off at Dana. I could totally see Dana, and I've seen Pereira too on social media. He's fucking huge right now.
He's
And
always been huge.
I know, but he's like 240, like a true heavyweight. And I think he might want to move up and go for that third belt. I think that's a good fight for him, fighting Cyril Gane, because they're both stand-up kickboxers. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for that to be a fight in the coming future early next year.
I hadn't thought about that, but I really like what you say there because I also think that Pereira wants to beat Ilya to 3 belts.
I know, and dude, he could do it. He's the perfect size for it. He cut so much weight to get to 185, and now he's like 240. That's like a true heavyweight. Gane's probably not going to be much heavier than him.
Yeah, I think Gane fights around like 245, 250.
Exactly.
And Pereira's 6'3". I think Gane is like 6'3", 6'4". They're pretty much the same size. It's just Pereira can cut more weight.
Yeah, I think that would be a really good fight.
I still have no idea how he made 185.
Me neither. That's just ridiculous.
One more thing with the UFC Paramount deal. Main cards have now been moved up an hour. Main cards formerly started at 10 p.m. on the East Coast. That will be the case on Saturday with Merab and Pirion too. But starting in January, we have 9 p.m. Eastern main cards, and I think that's a good thing for the sport. You?
I couldn't agree more. I mean, especially watching them in Texas 2 hours ahead from the West Coast. It was kind of brutal ending pay-per-views at midnight, 12:30, like especially on a Saturday too. It kind of takes the whole night away. So I think ending in an hour earlier, starting in an hour earlier is going to benefit everybody. I'm a big fan.
So let's talk about this weekend. It'll fight 2 of them. Bantamweight title, Merab and Pirion. Merab Dvalishvili trying to become the first UFC champion to defend his title 4 times in a calendar year. The books have it a little bit different across the board, but consensus is Merab is about a minus 450 favorite.
And I'm not shocked by that at all after watching their first fight. Merab just manhandled him, smothered him. Jan couldn't really get anything going. So I personally don't see this fight going any differently. I think Merab's going to beat him pretty handily. Possible submission, likely a decision. And that's about it. I mean, Jan's got a puncher's chance. He's a great striker. Obviously can hurt Merab on the feet. I just don't see it happening, man. Merab's a tough motherfucker.
He's such a savage, and I feel like you have to talk about it whenever you talk about Merab. His gas tank is unparalleled in UFC history, in my opinion. He doesn't get tired.
I've never seen someone with the cardio that Merab has. He just doesn't stop. He's literally the real life Terminator.
DraftKings has it as minus 410. I like Merab by submission. Wow, is that plus 700? Is that right?
Probably, yeah.
I like that.
What's Merab by the decision? Like minus 150?
Minus 225.
Crazy.
Merab by KO is plus 800. Yeah, I think we're on the same page here. I think it's Merab by dominance, however he chooses to win this fight, and I just don't think that Jan can contest with one of the greatest bantamweights that's ever walked the planet.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And no knock on Peter Yan. He's a good fighter. It's just Marab's a different level in that weight class, I think.
No doubt. Let's go to the co-main. We've seen Alexandre Pantoja defend his belt twice. We were there live. Who'd he beat?
It was against Cara France.
Yes, it was. It was against KKF. You're right. So that against KKF was on the Ilya card. By the way, KKF is taking a year off from MMA. He has joined the Australian Army. Okay.
Really?
Yes.
Good for him.
So
he
he's
needed
out.
a little switch up. He was getting knocked out a lot.
Yeah, he's out for a while. The UFC has removed him from the rankings, but not off the roster. Regardless, Alexandre Pantoja has been a dominant champion. Joshua Van is incredible, however. He went from unranked to the number one contender in 3 weeks' time. He beat Silva on June 7th and then fought 3 weeks later and beat Brandon Royval by unanimous decision on the Ilya Oliveira card, which was one of the fights of the year. That fight was a banger. We saw it live. It was incredible. This guy, Josh Van, can bang.
Yes, dude. He has some great hands, and that fight was so entertaining. That was the fight of the night, I think, on that Ilya card. But I don't know, man. I think this is similar to the first fight. I think Pantoja's wrestling is too good. His gas tank's too good. I think Van could touch him up a little bit, but I don't think he'll have much opportunity outside of that. Obviously, he has a puncher's chance, just like Peter Yan in the first fight, but I see Pantoja winning this one decisively. Again, either by submission or drag him out to a decision.
Pantoja's wrestling and jiu-jitsu is just so incredible. I don't really see anyone matching it at the flyweight division right now. He's kind of ran through the division. He doesn't really have a ton of contenders. And yeah, Brandon Moreno's always out there, but he's already beat Moreno. He's beat Royval. And now he's getting the young buck in Josh Van.
He might have to move up here at some point.
Yeah, and I've seen people talk about that. I just don't see him going to 135. I think he's too small. I think Merab would kill him.
Yeah, I agree.
Pantoja is a minus 240 favorite. The over-under is 2.5 rounds. Josh Van is the underdog at plus 195. These are two dominant champions headlining this card. We've seen Pantoja live multiple times. He is so consistent. He's such a killer. His jiu-jitsu is incredible. And his submission game, honestly, isn't insane. But he doesn't need it to be.
Yeah, he's just so efficient wrestling, and he manages to get everyone to the ground. So he's just able to control him down there and manage his gas tank really well. So he's going to be tough to beat. But that line's a little closer than I expected it to be. So maybe Josh Van has a chance. Who knows?
He's a great striker, no doubt. I think that we probably agree that it's Pantoja and Merab, and still, most likely, they're both pretty big favorites, but a very close line on the next fight. Also at the flyweight division, Brandon Moreno, who has been a perennial contender, taking on Tatsuro Taira, who got a title shot in his UFC debut and got dog walked by Pantoja. This could be a title eliminator. Taira is minus 125. Moreno is plus 105. I kind of like the underdog in this one.
Yeah, I was going to say, give me Moreno and his experience. He's been there before. And he's a tough task for anybody. So I like Moreno as well.
And it's a little bit challenging because Moreno is great. First Mexican champion in UFC history. Does a great job at the 125 division, but I just don't really think that he can compete with Alexandre Pantoja. And sure, if he wins this, he's probably next in line to get another title shot, but on it, who cares?
Yeah. I'm kind of in the same boat as you. It's just a thin division. There's not many contenders. So Sometimes you just got to give those repetitive title shots because it's the best guy out there, you know?
And it's not Pantoja's fault for running through the entire division. Credit to him.
100%. He's a stud.
Let's move on. I have some happy news. Henry Cejudo is retiring this weekend. Woo!
Thank the Lord.
I don't like watching him at all.
For the second time.
Yeah, dear Lord. I think he's just a pain in the ass. And he's old as shit. And he's not fun to watch. He's a gold medalist. He's a 2-division champion. Should have retired the first time. He's a big underdog against Peyton Talbot this weekend. I think I don't know. I mean, he's a gold medalist wrestler. Sure, maybe he can take Talbot to deep waters or whatever, but I'm just excited to see Cejudo out of the sport, honestly. I don't like watching him.
I think you're on the same page as a lot of people, including myself, but I don't know. I mean, Cejudo's a big dog, but Talbot just got exposed by a wrestler. He just lost his first fight in the UFC.
Yeah.
Kind of got taken down, manhandled. So I could see Cejudo maybe edging this one out. But if it stays on the feet, it's going to be a long night for him.
Yeah, I agree that the line is a little bit bigger than I anticipated. Talbot did bounce back, and he beat Felipe Lima by decision, but this was a guy that everyone was really, really high on coming into the UFC. He was a massive prospect, and I think he's kind of under-delivered to this point after that loss. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he was doing well in the UFC, I guess. He had a lot of knockouts. It's just after that first loss, you just lose a lot of that hype you came in with, you know?
So the first fight on the main card is Jan Blachowicz, perennial light heavyweight contender. He is fighting Bogdan Guskov out of Uzbekistan, who is coming off of a win against Nikita Krylov. He beat Ryan Superman Spann. Other than that, he hasn't really fought anyone serious in the UFC. Have you seen Guskov fight at all? And what do you think about this fight? Blachowicz is minus 125.
I saw him fight Krylov, and that was pretty impressive. Kind of dominated him in that fight. But Jan is a perennial contender, and he's fought everybody. And even though he's pretty old, he doesn't seem to really be losing a step. It's pretty crazy. That's tough. If I had to pick, I'm probably just gonna go on Jan because I like him more, and I think he's still very capable. He has that vicious one-shot knockout.
There are a couple notable prelims as well. Manuel Torres, who I remember from the Contender Series, he's a good wrestler. He's fighting Grant Dawson, who is also an All-American wrestler. That should be interesting. I don't necessarily know which way that goes, but Terrence McKinney is also fighting Chris Duncan, and then Marvin Vettori and Bruno Ferreira. I do really like Bruno Ferreira in that fight. Do you have anything notable about any of those three?
Nothing other than the McKinney fight's not going to go longer than a half a round.
Under.
I don't care what it is, but give me the under.
Terrence McKinney loves to knock people out, and he loves to get knocked out.
It's his two favorite things.
He fights out of Spokane, Washington, by the way.
Oh, Compton, baby.
Indeed. I actually saw a post on Instagram today about UFC fighters out of the state of Washington. And there's actually a lot more than you might think. Demetrius Johnson lives in Washington, and Neiman actually texted me a couple weeks ago that apparently his dad golfs with Demetrius Johnson.
Mighty Mouse. I didn't know he was in Washington. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. One of the pound-for-pound greats.
Represent.
Well, that's pretty much all I have for the card this weekend. I think that it's kind of one of those cards that might not be as exciting for the casual fan because it's the smaller weight divisions, but there's going to be a lot of expertise on display. Merab is the fighter of the year, according to ESPN, and I think he likely becomes the first 4-time UFC champion in a single year.
Yep, I'm on the same page. Give me Merab, but Yeah, it should be an exciting card. There's some good fights. Maybe not a ton of finishes, but should be good competitive fights. So I'm looking forward to it.
Should be a fun one. Well, let's move on a little bit. You want to do least surprising headline, Krezi?
Yeah, sure.
All right. I'll go first this time.
Yeah, let her rip.
Yeah, you went first last time, so I'll go first this time. My least surprising headline comes out of the college football landscape, and it centers around the Penn State Nittany Lions. They famously fired James Franklin after becoming a poor football team this year. James Franklin went to Virginia Tech. He now has a top 25 recruiting class. And speaking of those recruiting classes, Penn State has the worst recruiting class in all of FBS football because they don't have a fucking head coach. Yesterday was National Signing Day, and Penn State doesn't have a football coach. And sure, the college football calendar is all fucked up and nobody knows what's going on. It's a complete horror show. But Penn State needs to hire somebody. Have been kind of hoping they would take Sonny Dykes off our hands in Fort Worth. But I have a great number for you, Krezum. The Penn State coaching search has netted other college football coaches $370 million worth of extensions.
God, how? All through Franklin?
It is all coaches that have been considered for the Penn State job after Franklin got fired that have all signed extensions with the school they were already at because
Jesus.
because they got interest from Penn State. So,
Dude,
Kurt
that's
Cignetti,
crazy. Penn State's
Yeah.
been a great team for the last 10, 15 years, and they're just going to fall off.
and now the Franklin firing doesn't really make sense. So to go through it really quick, Kurt Cignetti was the first one considered for the Penn State job. He signed an 8-year extension at Indiana worth $92.8 million. Matt Rule from Nebraska was then considered, and he signed a 2-year extension worth $25 million in total. Mike Elko from Texas A&M was considered after that. He signed a 6-year, $66 million extension to stay in College Station. There was a great storyline this week about Kalani Sitake from BYU. He was being heavily considered for that Penn State job. And as of yesterday, he signed an extension. The number is not public yet, but it is anticipated to be a 6-year, $54 million extension. Brent Key from Georgia Tech was considered. He signed a 5-year, $32 million extension. Clark Lee from Vanderbilt was considered. He signed for 6 years, $22.2 million. And then Eli Drinkwitz from Missouri signed a 6-year, $61.5 million extension. That adds up to over 50 years worth of extensions for a total of $370 million. I am so sorry if you're a Penn State football fan.
That is actually ridiculous. I had no idea that's how many coaches that they were looking at for that job, first off, but the fact that they all stayed really shows no one wants to be in Happy Valley. So that's crazy. And Penn State's been a really good football team too.
They've been incredible. I don't know who they're going to hire.
They're going to have to pull the rabbit out of the hat.
I'm really curious to see where John Gruden ends up because I feel like he's going to coach in college football next year. Probably
I want to see him in
SEC.
the SEC.
I kind of wanted to see him get the Florida job, but Florida did just hire the South Florida head coach. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Dude, I don't know. I really don't know what direction they can go in at this point.
Well, and I said it at the top there, James Franklin, who has been at Virginia Tech for 2 weeks now, has a top 25 recruiting class for next year.
It can turn like that, man. Just get a good coach.
What's your least surprising headline, Krezer?
Well, mine's pretty bread and butter. If you know anything about sports, you probably heard about it, but my least surprising headline is also in college football with Lane Kiffin going to LSU.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people are pissed off about it and giving Lane Kiffin some major shade, which honestly I understand why, because he's kind of been at multiple different programs and left within a couple of years. So It's not the most loyal, I guess, but that's just sports right now, I feel like. And it's a business, man. Like, I don't blame him at all because he's going to probably the most highly touted job you can have in college football, right?
Yeah.
It's probably LSU. And I mean, obviously he built a great program at Ole Miss too, but the fact that he's going to LSU, he's probably getting more money, right?
He is, but not as much as you might think. I think
Yeah.
it's 6 years, 80 million or something like that.
Okay. Well, either way,
North,
he's
maybe
getting
90.
he's getting a little more money than he would at Ole Miss, first off. And secondly, it's one of the most highly touted jobs you can get in college football. So he's going to be getting the best players out of anywhere else in the country. Obviously, LSU has a really strong NIL backing too. And he was probably the number one coach in the pool in college football for any school, right? So he got to pick and choose where he wanted. And I don't blame him one bit for going to LSU because he has a chance to build something pretty special there.
And Sam and I were talking about it on Tuesday's episode. It's kind of tough to blame Lane Kiffin because honestly, it's really not his fault. It's the broken college football calendar that led to him leaving an 11-1 Ole Miss college football playoff team for a pretty shitty LSU program right now. But like you mentioned, the backing is huge, the recruiting is massive, and I saw that when he got to Death Valley, he was greeted with the number one recruit in the nation for next year, waiting in his office, an offensive lineman who signed his national letter of intent the next day, which was yesterday.
That's a perfect example. I think that's going to be happening a lot at LSU now.
Well, and football in Louisiana is incredible. Like, he's going to just get those hometown recruits that have wanted to play for LSU their whole lives and are going to stay there.
100%. It's going to be so easy.
And he's already a great recruiter. He took a quarterback from fucking Ferris State, a Division II school, and turned him to one of the best QBs in the SEC this year.
It's insane. And with the recruits he's going to be getting, man, it's going to be scary. LSU is going to be a team to watch out for the next couple of years. That's for sure.
I've been saying the last few days that I think Lane needs to go out there because, I mean, I don't necessarily know what Garrett Nussmeier has planned, if he wants to stay at LSU, go to the draft, transfer, whatever. But I think Lane needs to go get Drew Mestemaker from North Texas. I've been high on Mestemaker. I think he is probably going to be the best quarterback in the portal. And if Lane Kiffin and that offensive staff are calling plays for Drew Mestemaker, look out.
He's been a fucking stud, that's for sure. And if Kiffin wants him, I'm sure he'll be able to get him. So I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit more about college football. You want to transition a little bit? I'm ready to give out some picks right about now.
Let it rip, please.
Let's do it, baby. Welcome back to Mounsey's Minute on the sports section. Conference championship week in college football. Ready to give you the picks. Give me the helmet hoodie. Let's roll. The Golden Hurricane from Tulsa are back again. We're going to start things off on Friday night. And Krezer, this is what I am calling the nuclear whale missile hammer L-word play of the millennium. It is the North Texas Mean Green. Laying 2.5 at Tulane. Again, this is a home site American Conference title game. In all likelihood, the winner of this game will make the college football playoff. The Mean Green have been fantastic this season. They are averaging 49 points per game, which leads the nation. Drew Mestemaker leads the country in passing yards with over 3,800 yards. He has 29 touchdowns to just 4 interceptions. They have scored 52 or more points 4 of their last 5 weeks. And so many eyes are on Drew Mestemaker. Caleb Hawkins, their running back, leads the nation in rushing touchdowns. Mean Green -2.5, lay the points, nuclear whale, missile, hammer, L-word of the millennium. Play it. Then we go to Saturday in the Big 12. Brigham Young, the Cougars, getting 13 points against the number 4 ranked Red Raiders of Texas Tech. This game is at Jerry World, and we're going to take BYU. plus 13. They got blown out last go around against Texas Tech, but that game was in Lubbock. Their defense has allowed 16 points per game since that loss against Texas Tech. And that was the biggest home game in Red Raider history. This is a neutral site game. Kalani Sitake just signed a long-term extension to stay at BYU in Provo, and I think Bear Bachmeier and the guys will play for him. Texas Tech wins this game inside the number. Take the Cougars plus the points. Then we go to the SEC. Number 3, Georgia. Number 9, Alabama. This game in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz for the SEC title. We're going to take the Bulldogs on the money line. Minus 135. Georgia has won 8 in a row since they lost to Alabama, including wins over number 6 Ole Miss, number 10 Texas, and number 23 Georgia Tech. Their defense has given up 10 or less points in 3 straight games, and Alabama struggled last week to score against a subpar Auburn team, and I just don't think they're going to be able to run the ball against Georgia. We're going to take the Bulldogs on the money line to secure a bye with a win and enter the college football playoff as the number 3 overall seed. We're going to double dip on this game and take the under. It is 48 points. Alabama has not given up 24 points in a game all season, more than 24, that is. Georgia only scored 19 points against Georgia Tech last week, who gave up 42 the week prior against Pittsburgh. I think this game is low scoring, and I think it goes under. Another low scoring game I see is in the Big Ten. We go to Indianapolis, number 1, Ohio State, number 2, Indiana. We are going to take the Buckeyes in this game and lay the 4 points. I think the Ohio State defense is just going to be too much for Fernando Mendoza and the Hoosiers offense, even though they have been terrific this season. The Buckeye defense has not given up more than 16 points in a game this season, and I think Julian Sayin is going to be able to find 4 in red, the best receiver in the nation, Jeremiah Smith, get him involved and win in a low-scoring contest. I like the Buckeyes. That is what we have for Conference Championship this week. College games will go to the NFL and in the morning slates, going to Atlanta. The Seahawks have been a juggernaut this season. They've only lost 3 times. I don't think Kirk Cousins will be able to do it against potentially the best defense in the league. We're going to lay 7 points and take the Seahawks on the road. The Bills and the Bengals. Joe Burrow looked great on Thanksgiving last week against the Ravens, but he has to go to Buffalo this weekend, and I think that's a different test. The Bills have really impressed me as of late. Terrible game in the morning slate. Miami traveling to New York to take on the Jets. We're going to take the Dolphins minus 2.5. Both these teams have won 3 of their last 4, I believe, and the Miami defense has not given up more than 17 points in the last 6 weeks. I think it's a Devon A-Chain game, and I don't think Tua will have to do too much. We're going to take the Dolphins and lay the 2.5. Steelers are getting 5.5, traveling to Baltimore. They lost last week against the Bengals when they got Joe Burrow back. The offense hasn't really impressed me. I think the Ravens may get this done inside the number. We're going to take Aaron Rodgers, who's 500 years old, against the Ravens plus the 5.5. In the afternoon, 2 games that we really like here. Geno Smith has been horrible. I'm sorry, Geno, I love you. But we're going to take the Broncos minus 7.5. They've been one of the best teams in the league this season. The best team in the NFL, in my opinion, is the Los Angeles Rams. They're playing one of the worst teams in the league in a division rivalry, traveling to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. The Rams laying 8.5. I think this is one of those games the Rams get up 35-0 in about a heartbeat, and I like the Rams to win by a lot of points. We've got a 10-pack for you. That's Mounsey's Minute on the sports section.
I like it because although you went into some NFL games, you only hit one game that I picked, so that is good. But we're on opposite sides. I'm going to just run through my picks really quick.
We're calling this Krez's Corner. He's got a 3-pack for you of the NFL on Sunday. Who do you like this week, Krezzy?
We'll start it off 3-0 for you guys. Mounsey, I'm sorry about this first one, but I am going to take the Bengals plus 5.5. The Bengals are just a different team with Joe Burrow. Obviously, their offense is leaps and bounds better with him in their presence, and I feel like their defense kind of rallies around the offense as well when Burrow's out there. They played well against the Ravens last week. I think the Bengals keep it close, could win outright on the road against the Bills. Game number 2, We're going to Green Bay, Lambeau Field, and I'm still not completely sold on either of these teams, but it's going to be freezing at Lambeau. I think the Packers are going to come out and get a decisive win. I just think the Packers are a better football team, and I'm still not completely sold on Caleb Williams and the Bears. I think the Packers are going to cover in that game.
7.5, I believe.
7.5, 6.5. Fuck it, give me the Packers. I think I had 6.5, but either way. And then lastly, probably the worst matchup of the entire week in the NFL, but I'm going to bet on it anyways. And that is the Browns, -4 against the Titans. The Titans are a miserable football team. The Browns have one of the best defenses in the NFL, and I think that they're going to score 2 touchdowns and win by 11 points. So those are my 3 picks.
The last time I gave out a team to win by an exact number, it was the Alabama Crimson Tide last week, and they won by exactly 7.
That's ball knowledge.
Hope you get the Browns by 11 this week. I do want to touch on college football really quick before we get to the NFL. And I have a take here. I think that the committee is getting ready to leave Notre Dame out of the playoff because ND has won 10 straight games, all of them by double digits, and Alabama went to Auburn last week and won by 7. And the committee moved Alabama ahead of Notre Dame, which I don't understand. And now you have Notre Dame at 10, which is the cut line. So they're currently the last team in the field because of the conference championships. And then you have BYU at 11 and you have Miami at 12. And if BYU loses to Texas Tech, they're 13-point underdogs. They're probably going to lose that game. They might move down a spot, and then you have to directly compare Notre Dame and Miami. And yeah, Miami beat them by 3 in week 2. But Notre Dame's won 10 straight, and I just think they're a better football team. But my point here is that I think the committee is getting ready to leave the Irish out after having them in the entire season, which would blow my mind.
That would be pretty shocking, and I don't think Miami deserves to get in personally. 10 wins for Notre Dame in a row. I feel like you can't leave them out at this point, but I wouldn't be shocked with your reasoning right there.
I hope it doesn't happen because I think Notre Dame is one of the best football teams in the country, and I think that they have a chance to win a national title. They have the best running back in America with Jeremiah Love, and they've just boat raced everybody. They boat raced Pitt, who kept it tight with Georgia. They boat raced Syracuse, which they should have, but they hung 70. They boat raced Stanford last week. And it goes back to my argument about Texas, just because I don't think teams are going to be scheduling these non-conference games. And of course, Notre Dame isn't in a conference, but I don't think teams are going to be scheduling these really tough games early in the year anymore, especially if Texas and Notre Dame get left out. Because I want to remind you, sure, Notre Dame started the season 0-2. They lost to A&M and they lost to Miami. Those are 2 top 12 losses now after week 12, and they lost to those teams by a combined 4 points. They lost to A&M because they missed an extra point. And teams just aren't going to schedule those tough games anymore because if you lose week 1, it can really come back to bite you. And I don't think Texas should get in, but they lost to Ohio State week 1. And I think it's bad for college football, the direction this committee is taking the rank.
I agree, and we talk about it all the time. Like, you don't have to schedule those big games early in the season, but these teams are doing it because it's best for the school, you know? Like, it may hurt down the line when they're choosing the CFP rankings, but shit, I don't like the direction it's going in at all either because teams are getting left out that I don't think should be.
Well, we talked a good amount of college football. I do want to quickly go back to the Big Ten title game, number 1 and number 2. Ohio State's been a juggernaut this season, but their best win was week 1 against Texas. They haven't really been tested in conference, not taking anything away from the Buckeyes. They're the best team in America, and that is without a question. But Indiana is the second best team in America. They are 12-0. They have the Heisman frontrunner in Fernando Mendoza. They have probably the best coach in America with Curt Cignetti. The spread is only 4 points. Is there a chance that Indiana could pull something off in Indianapolis this weekend?
Well, I feel like there's always that outlying chance. A game's a game, but dude, that Ohio State team is I think they're too good to lose this game, right? Are you feeling the same way about it?
I am with you, and mainly because of their defense, which has not been the case with Ohio State since the Ryan Day era started. But Matt Patricia has this defense on another level. I gave that stat earlier. They haven't given up more than 16 points in a game this season. They're averaging 9 points against at home. And this game isn't too far from either school, but the Indiana offense has not seen anything like the Ohio State defense. And I'm not saying that Indiana can't win the national title, because they could. And I still think they probably get a bye, even if they lose this game. But I just don't see them getting it done, especially Julian Sand has looked composed. He's matured throughout the season. And when they need to score, like we've said, they got 4 in red, man.
Best player in the country.
I'm with you. Let's move on. Let's go to the NFL. A good slate this weekend. An interesting slate this weekend. Seahawks, Falcons, I covered that. That is in the morning slate. We have Dolphins, Jets in the morning, Steelers, Ravens, Saints, Bucks, Colts, Jags, Titans, Browns, Commies, Vikings, Bengals, Bills to round out the morning slate. The game that jumps off the page to me in that slate is probably Indianapolis going to Jacksonville. The Colts lost a tight one at Kansas City. They lost again last week. Daniel Jones has not been as good as he was at the start of the season. Is it fraud check time for the Colts?
Dude, I think it might be. And I was looking at that game earlier as a game that I think the Jags are going to win. I feel like the Colts aren't really who we thought they were early in the season just because they haven't really played anybody. But they've been losing games to good teams. And I think Jacksonville, I don't want to say that they're a great team or anything, but they're decent and their defense is good too. So if they can shut down Jonathan Taylor, I think that they win this.
Well, and the Colts lost to the Texans last week. The Texans also beat the Bills this year.
Dude, the
And
Texans might be good.
and they're now looking at the playoffs. Their defense is incredible. And D'Amico Ryans is a defensive guy. He's got that defense ready to go. They might have the best defense in the NFL. I think it's probably between them and Seattle. But they're going to be tested on Sunday night going to Kansas City. That's a must win for the Chiefs. And let's leapfrog to that game a little bit. The Chiefs are 6-6 now. The Texans sitting at 7-5, coming off a huge win against Indy. Davis Mills went 3-0. Can CJ Stroud get this done? I feel like he can with that defense.
I would tend to agree. I mean, Davis Mills looked great in that offense. If CJ Stroud, who we think he is, or who a lot of people think he is, then shit, I think the Texans could win handily. And obviously, leaning on that defense, that's a huge help too.
Commanders Vikings back in the morning slate. I don't know if you watched any of Seahawks Vikings last week, but it was fucking hilarious.
It was a comedy show.
And the Seahawks didn't even play that well. Seahawks scored 1 offensive touchdown. And they almost didn't because Mike McDonald wanted to kick a field goal on 4th and 2. Because that's all the Seahawks do is kick field goals. They settle more than any team I've ever seen. They've kicked the most field goals in the league this year. That is a stat.
Are they? Is it really?
Yes.
Well, it's points at least.
And I get it because the defense is so good and Mike McDonald wants to put points on the board. And it's hard to score points in the NFL. The Vikings are favored against the Commanders. I am assuming JJ is back this week, but Max Brosmer was like the worst fucking thing I've ever seen last week. No offense to the kid. I wanted him to be successful, but he stinks, and so does JJ.
Yeah, that quarterback room is pretty tough right now. And I do not like the fact that they're favored at all. Honestly, I know Commanders are banged up a little bit, but Mariota's pretty good.
He just went to overtime on Monday Night Football against the Broncos.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think he's as bad of a backup as a lot of other backups, that's for sure.
No, yeah. Give me Marcus and the guys in that one plus the points. They're getting 1.5. That game is in Minnesota. I think Vikings fans are kind of fed up. Let's go to the afternoon. Broncos Raiders, I don't want to talk about that game because the Raiders are the worst thing I've ever seen. No offense, SP. But Bears Packers, I think, is probably the game of the week. The Bears are 9-3. The Bears are currently the 1 seed in the NFC. However, if they do lose this game, the Packers become the leader in that division, and the Bears would fall to the 7 seed in the NFC, which is kind of crazy. And the Bears are 6.5-point underdogs as I'm seeing it. However, they have been tremendous as of late. Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson are finding wins in the same way that they found losses last year with Eberflus. And I think that's kind of a coaching thing. But Jordan Love had 4 touchdowns on Thanksgiving last week and looked really good. The Packers offense seems like it's clicking.
Yeah, I mean, their offense did look great last week, and obviously they have Micah Parsons on that D-line who can wreak havoc, and I feel like playing in Lambeau is a huge advantage. I don't know why. The Bears have looked great, but I'm still not fully sold on them. I like Green Bay.
I'm not sold on the Bears either. Another team that I have started to question, let's go to Monday night. Same division. Eagles. They lost by 9 to the Bears last week. They lost to the Cowboys the week prior. They almost lost to the Lions the week before that. They've got to go to LA this week, and they're only 2.5-point favorites against the Chargers. And I will mention that Justin Herbert had a surgery this week. He is questionable for that game, and the Chargers' backup is Trey fucking Lance.
I had no idea about that. He's still in the league?
Allegedly.
Jesus. That's crazy. Well, I mean, I don't know what to think about the Eagles, too. They're playing pretty bad football right now on both sides, I'd say. So if Herbert's healthy, shit, give me the Chargers. But if not, that's going to be a tough one for them for sure. I mean, Philly's defense is good if they play up to par. I think they're a little banged up, but A.J. Brown's been a non-factor until last week, really. And Saquon still hasn't gotten going all season. I don't like the Eagles. They're a team I can't really trust right now.
You can't trust him either. And ever since A.J. Brown started bitching and moaning about not getting the ball, they've got him the ball more, and they've started losing the games that he's touched the ball. They've lost 2 in a row. So
Exactly.
I'm not bought in on AJ. I'm not bought in on the Eagles. Their offense has looked average at best. Saquon hasn't been doing much. I think the Eagles win this game, like by the number, by a field goal, maybe. I just don't trust the Chargers either. I've never been high on the Chargers. I don't know.
Me neither. They looked good early in the season, but they've also looked really bad in certain games throughout the year, too.
I'm also a Herbert hater because he went to fucking Oregon.
Yeah, I think he's average. I mean, he has potential, but he's not consistent enough.
Yeah, I'm with you. You have a game on in the background there?
Dubs.
Nice. Who are they playing?
They're playing the Sixers.
What's the score?
It just started. It's on a commercial. I think it's like 11-8 or something.
Speaking of your Bay Area sports teams, I did see that the Sharks got blown out last night, but they're very exciting.
Yeah, dude, they're looking good this year. I mean, I talked about them a few episodes ago. They got a lot of young talent, but they lost 7-1 last night. But I think the night before they won like 6-2 or something. So it's either a blowout for us or the other way around.
Very young team.
Very young, yes.
I'll be excited to see how they are in about 2 years. I was actually texting our guy Aiden Casey about that today.
What was he saying about the Sharks?
He said that he thinks they'll be good in 2 to 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And
That sounds
they've got
about right.
ton. Yeah, and they've got a ton of young talent. He texted me that he was listening to the pod at work today. So shout out to Case. Thanks for listening.
Damn straight.
You got anything else that we missed or that you want to cover, really, Krezer?
Dude, I'm all good. We talked about all the NFL games that I wanted to hit on this week. Obviously, there's some big playoff implication stuff, so it should be exciting. I'm looking forward to watch because the Niners are on a bye. I don't have to stress about them all weekend.
Yeah, very true. I'm not really too worried about the Seahawks this week. I think
You
that
should not be.
Yeah, I think we handle Kirk and the Dirty Birds at their place.
Agreed. 100%.
It's also the day after the SEC title game in that building, so I don't.
They got to get
I
that
don't.
cleaned up quick.
Yeah, I don't think that really does anything. I just noticed that my fridge is open in the background. Whoops.
That's lovely.
Yeah, there's nothing really in there.
It's all good then.
I don't do a ton of cooking.
Good man. Always go out to eat. That's the way to do it.
I'm with you. Cool. Well, thanks, Krezer. This was another good one. Fun
Yes,
pod.
sir. Damn straight as always.
Buy our merch, people, and do the
Please.
liking. Yeah, like our stuff. Give us 5 stars. Repost our shit. Comment. Subscribe. You know,
All the above.
the laundry list. All right. That's all I got. This is sports section.
Oh God, baby.
We'll see you guys next time back on Tuesday with Sam Hoiberg. Have a good one.